So Mr. Oxley says we haven't received the
That's his
numbers.
second or third
Well,
vote.
we have a motion. We need to receive the numbers. So
I mean.
that's what it says in the minutes.
On all these future council meetings and members.
I'm just confused about the protocol. I mean, it seems to me. Well, I didn't come to those meetings. I didn't come till June, so it's already been voted. First reading was in April. It's when you had the special meeting on April the 26th. So my question is, like, if you make a motion, you make a main motion, you're doing the business of the city. So it means you all want to have those numbers. So I don't understand why y'all didn't insist on hearing the numbers before you voted. I know it's a moot point now, because we're a million and a half. And then the mayor, it's just going to be changing.
All right, let's go.
But yeah, 6 weeks before you all voted.
May I have
that
one?
motion. I'm just gonna bring it up, 'cause I'm just.
I don't know. If you have- When's the last time you saw Mayor?
Huh?
When's the last time you saw Mayor?
Last meeting.
Okay.
No, I take that back down here at the shop.
Okay. How long ago?
When you did
I'm
the
calling
coffee shop.
this meeting, okay. I'm calling the meeting to order tonight just long enough for someone to be appointed as mayor. So that has to come from council.
Madam Clerk, I move that we appoint Mrs. Janey mayor for the evening, since she has the longest serving term here on the Oakville Council.
And
I'll
I'd like to
second that.
I'd like to nominate Steve Hazlett.
Madam Clerk, you have a second on my motion.
Do you,
I feel like I need
do you
to.
accept the nomination?
No,
Okay, the nomination's been declined.
Madam Clerk, I would nominate Mr. Steve Hazlett.
and I'll
Based on,
second that.
based on his time of service.
Do you accept?
I'll accept.
Good
It's
job,
been-
Steve.
It's been moved and seconded to accept
Experience.
Steve Hazlett as the acting mayor tonight. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Yeah, you could sit.
You get to
All
sit in
right,
the big
Steve,
chair.
you're on.
Oh,
Danny skinnier than me. I think it's the first time that mayor of Oak Hill has actually been a boy from Mendon who still lives in Mendon.
Compliments.
Put that in a minute.
Yeah, put that in a minute, Madam Clerk.
Oh,
And be sure the vote declining is entered into the minutes.
is that your minute?
That's my minute from the minutes. I call this meeting to order. We have the invocation,
yes.
Or we-
Craig Swisher.
Roll call.
roll call. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Council at Large, Tom Oxley. Council members, Diana Janey,
Here,
David Perry,
Here.
Krista Hodges. Here. Council members from Ward 2, Steve Hazlett,
Here.
Charles Smallwood Jr.
Here.
And Benitez Jackson.
Here.
Has been established.
Yes, we have a quorum.
Quorum has been established. We'll call this meeting to order. Can we have Pastor Greg Swisher lead us in the invocation?
Start to say, all rise, but let's pray together. Oh, Father, humbly we come before your throne of grace, for we know that no matter who sits on the thrones or positions of power on this earth, you alone, God, are sovereign. And in your sovereignty, you allow us to come. Thank you, God, for the audience you grant us before that throne of grace. Father, as I appear before City Council in Oak Hill, I ask, God, that your spirit of wisdom and of grace and mercy would be upon this body of elected officials. We do lift up Tom Oxley, who is not here with us tonight. We know, God, as he is afflicted, that you are still with him, that you are touching him, and we pray, God, your healing upon him. Pray, God, your spirit of mercy and tenderness upon him and his family. We would ask you would restore him to a measure of health and restore him to this council. Tonight, as council meets, God, I pray that you would touch their hearts and minds. I don't know the spiritual condition of any of them here, but I know that your word calls for us to lift up those in authority over us, to pray for them, that they would diligently be about the business to which you have allowed them to be appointed. This city council is to work on behalf of the citizenry, to improve the lives and the welfare of each person in this town, each one of equal importance, God, in your kingdom. So give them wisdom, give them grace, give them mercy and love toward their fellow man. Lead them, guide them, direct them. And I pray, God, at the end of this night, that the things that they say and do would be decent and in order and bring honor and glory to your kingdom, this small part of your kingdom, the city of Oak Hill. Be with those who are representing the other departments tonight, the police department and the fire department and whatever other departments are here. For God, they also serve our fellow citizenry, and we appreciate their service and pray for them. Now, God, descend upon this meeting. May your spirit prevail. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last
Mayor, I
meeting?
move that we approve the minutes as having been previously presented.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second.
Any discussion?
Any discussion? We'll take the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I
Mayor-
make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We'll take the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. City manager, do we have any correspondence? City clerk?
Yes, we received a letter from Jim Justice congratulating the city on receiving a grant fund of $2,000, and it reads, "Congratulations on the local economic development assistance grant you have been awarded by the West Virginia House of Delegates. Please find enclosed a check for $2,000 as requested by the West Virginia House of Delegates to be used for construction of Veterans Memorial. If you should have any questions, comments, or concerns related to your grant, please contact the West Virginia House of Delegates Finance Committee at 304-340-3230. Thank you for your commitment to doing great work for the state of West Virginia. Sincerely, James Justice, Jim Justice, Governor."
Good news. All right, that moves us along to citizens' comments.
I'd like to add, the mayor asked if we'd send a letter to Jim Justice and the Speaker of the House, and we've already taken care of that, and thanking them for the grant.
Thank you. All right. Chris Gill.
Good evening, council. Most of you know my name is Chris Gill. I live in Ward 2. The reason I'm here to speak to you tonight is most of you know, I'm an appointed committee member of the Charter and the Ordinance Committee. And I just like to let everyone know at the last meeting, there was a statement that was incorrect. And it said that when we met, the Charter Committee met, that it was everyone was in unanimous agreement that we was for the charter change on the aspect of the council interfering with the hiring process of the city. And as a committee member, I want to clarify, and I'd like for the record to show and the minutes to reflect that I was not for that in that meeting, and I'm still not for that. I don't believe it's the right thing for the city. That's my opinion of that. That night when we met, everyone else, I was outnumbered for that. And I believe I was the sole one in opposition. However, I believe last month when that statement was made, that it possibly influenced the vote of some of the council members because everyone thought that we was unanimous in agreement. So they were strongly for it. When I just want the record to clear, because once I got home that night, I received several phone calls up into the days following. People wanting to know, did I really support that? And I just want to go on record, let the minutes reflect it, and for the public to know that I was against it then, and I'm still against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chris.
Chris.
Jim Alshire.
Good evening, council. I appreciate the few minutes I get to spend. All day long, there was a song come to my mind about tell it to Jesus. And I know we're not in a church meeting, but tell it to Jesus, because I've had some things upon my mind the last couple of weeks. I received a text, and I don't mind getting a text, but when it involves your family and your wife, it's a little upsetting. And I just want the council to know, if you have any questions about me, who I am, feel free to ask me. Don't go somewhere else trying to find information, but you're going to hear a lot of hearsay out there. You don't know anything about my life other than maybe somebody will tell you, and they don't know really that, they don't spend time with me. But I just wanted to let them know that I appreciate it from now on. I think there's 2 other council members that got the text that I received. And that's why I brought it up in the meeting. I think it should have been sent to all members of council, that what they sent to me. And so if you have something to ask me about, ask me. We may be in disagreement, but that doesn't make me a bad person. Doesn't make you a bad person. I want you to understand that. And I agree with Jim Akers, I think was said, we're a city. We need to come together as a city. It's for the community. What we vote on today, presently, is for the future. And so I just wanted to say that. And my wife and I took some pictures at Christmas time of the new city building that's coming up and around South Hill, just a lot of different places, and sent them to some friends up in Alaska and out in Nebraska. And they were once people that lived here, and man, they really enjoyed what the city is doing with everything, and they appreciated it. They said it wasn't like that here when they were here. It's been 20 years or more ago, but I told them, man, Oak Hill is making strides. I mean, they've come a long ways and still got a ways to go. But I appreciate the time and everything. And like I said, if you want to talk to me about something, come to me and talk to me. I'm 70 years old, and I don't mind sharing things with you. Yeah, it's my life's here, and I appreciate living here in Oak Hill. But that's all I got to say. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. John Garvin.
Yes, folks, thank you for letting me speak. I know the council now is so concerned about correct protocol, parliamentary procedures, everything should be run the correct way. I happen to be looking through some old minutes, kind of inspired by the mayor's minute from the minutes. I'll just call it maybe a concerned citizen's blast from the past. But we go back to not too long ago, March 14th of 2022, a motion was presented before the council by Councilman Perry, seconded by Tom Oxley. It was voted for unanimously 7-0. And the motion was that the council would hear the price of repairs to the present city hall, price of the new city hall, and the price of purchasing the BB&T building and getting it ready to be the municipal building. Now, my understanding of parliamentary procedures is very limited, so I went to the good old Wikipedia. I remember when I was in high school, we would go to Robert's Rules of Order, see how to do things in the assembly. And Officer Robert, he was a U.S. Army officer, and the rules of procedure started in 1876. He said the object of the rules of order is to assist an assembly to accomplish the work for which it was designed. Where there is no law, there is the least of real liberty. The purpose of these rules of order is to bring order to chaos. Now, Mark Twain said the memory of the American public is about 6 weeks. So if we go from the meeting in March to the special meeting in April 26th, which is about 6 weeks, we never heard any of this information. We never got these prices. Mr. Oxley asked for these numbers. Councilor Perry, who had brought the motion. Now, my idea is that when you bring a motion, you're trying to do the business of the city, so it should be acted on. It was ignored. Neither Councilman Perry, Smallwood, Jackson, Hazlett, they offered no, we had a motion that was up. We need to discuss this motion. Thomas just left the twist in the wind. 6 weeks has been forgotten. That motion didn't mean anything. And according to Robert's Rules of Order, once you bring a main motion, if you don't annul it, rescind it, amend it, or reconsider it, if none of those things are done, the original motion stands as it was voted. To this day, do we have those numbers for what was going to be done here? As far as I know, no. For a new city hall, no. And all we knew about the BB&T building, $675,000. And to this day, we still have no idea how those numbers were arrived. Just one counselor told us that that was the best we could do. No one asked any questions. So now we're $1.5 million in debt. And no one even can explain at any time how any of these numbers were arrived. And I think the city needs to know. There needs to be transparency.
Mayor,
Let me
the
continue this
gentleman's
for a few
time
seconds.
has expired.
I have 30 seconds. I can finish up. Maybe we ran.
Wrap it up, Mr. Garvin, please.
Thank you. I will wrap it up. So it would seem to me that you all need to take more consideration, not only for protocol, but also for common courtesy and civility. You all asked for numbers. You wanted business to be done. 6 weeks, everything was forgotten. It was put in a memory hole. And now we're $1.5 million in debt. And y'all did not go through the proper procedures. It was an illegitimate process. And that's just the way it is. If you can tell me different, I'd love to hear it.
Thank you, Mr. Garvin. No further comments. Let's move into unfinished business. First item on the agenda is consideration of the Planning Commission recommendation to change land classification from R2 Residential District to B2 General Business District on parcels 54, 55, 56, 58, 70, 72, 73, 75, 76, and 77 Highland Heights Edition, 1702 East Main Street, the old Basham's Junkyard.
Mayor, so move. that we
Second.
approve consideration of the planning commission recommendation to change land classification from R2 residential district to B2 general business district on parcels 54, 55, 56, 58, 70, 72, 73, 75, 76, and 77, Highline Heights Edition, 1702 East Main Street, Old Basham Junkyard property.
Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We move on to number 2, reconsideration to hire a full-time enforcement officer.
Mayor, I move that we hire a full-time enforcement officer and reserve the right for comment at the appropriate time.
I was going to see if we could table it until we do budget review.
Mayor, I
We
would
have
ask
a-
for a second.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussions?
Yes, sir. I'd like to see if we could table that until budget review to see if we have enough money to do that. And then what would happen to the other gentleman that's currently in that position?
I happen to agree with Diana. Are we in a rush to fill this position that we couldn't wait until the end of this month? When we have our budget revision?
No, Bill Files back and he's performing those duties now.
You mean Bill Light?
I mean, Bill Light.
Mr. Fowle looked like, I don't think I'm doing that.
Bill Light is back. now.
Okay, so there's no harm in tabling this until next month if we need to see where we stand.
Not
before
as
we
far
do.
as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Do we have the money for it? Do you know?
I do not know. Until we start into that budget process. I haven't looked at that
And then.
or
so
thought about how much it would be.
I guess my question is this a position that like we're just coming up with, or is it something that you were wanting or thinking we need and then bringing it to council? Because
I
are
think
we
we-
creating the position? Like,
I do think that we could use a full-time code enforcement officer because we have a lot of things that are going on. And that would help us get some of the problem areas that we have.
so do we have to approve the job posting? Or why, like, I guess my question is, why didn't you just post the position if it's your position in
Well,
the city?
I just, because I was gonna wait until budget.
Oh, okay, okay. So, but this isn't,
It's not a position that currently exists as a full-time position. We have a part-time person, but we don't have a full-time person.
right. But do we have to approve the posting of the position? Like, why are we trying
No,
to
You
create,
just have to approve the budget.
and then when you hire somebody? But as far as hiring a full-time enforcement officer, you can do that yourself without our,
Yes.
like. So why are we considering it? I'm just asking.
Well, it was asked to be on the agenda last
Oh, okay,
month,
okay.
and then it was turned down, so it was asked to be put back on it again.
But
We have
really,
a-
we don't need to consider. I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking.
I think we have to allocate the finances for it, is why council has to approve it, correct?
Yes.
So
Well,
we're-
they don't, not necessarily, not the way it is right now. But it would require a budget revision.
Which we're gonna do at the end of this month.
We're gonna do a
And
budget revision tonight, but we're gonna do our budget, or for next year, we're gonna start on that in February 20th.
So it
Actually,
wouldn't hurt anything for this to be at the March council meeting.
no, it would not.
We have a motion.
Well, but at March, yeah, the March council meeting, you'll be approving the budget.
Okay.
We have a motion to table. We need-
No, we have a motion
So.
to vote it,
so-
and I reserve the right to address the council when I made the motion.
I believe it, and I went back and researched the other day based on what
This-
we've been doing. I think technically, once you have a second on the main motion, which you have made, then if.
I didn't have a second.
Yeah, you did.
You did have a
Small,
second.
Charlotte.
small did.
On the first time?
Just now.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
I think if there's a motion then table, that, if that has a second, that is acted upon immediately. And the motion, the first motion is not considered if this is tabled.
Okay, I got you.
So we have a motion to table and a second
Yes.
on the motion to table.
Or do you have something, Mr. Perry? Just want to hear why we're considering it.
I will speak at the appropriate time
Okay.
on this motion to table.
Well, I thought we were
Ready.
considering your motion, so this would be the
No,
appropriate time.
Mr. Fowle said that the table motion would
motion.
take precedence over the motion and can't be debated.
So we got, oh, okay, go ahead. Okay. Just move on.
Okay, we have comments on the tabling motion.
Mr. Hazlett, not to be in conflict with anyone in particular, but Madam Manager, this was discussed with you prior to the last meeting. It was also, if you recall, we had a citizen come before the council and say he had identified a statute that would give us a tool to additionally enforce our code in terms of buildings and so forth and so on. If I'm correct, Mr. Fowle indicated that it would be best, that may be the wrong word, that we have a full-time person in order to enforce it. I also would say this, we're only talking about a half-time position. If we take two halves and turn it into a full, we're talking about a half-time position.
But-
Okay? Yes.
Well, that's where I disagreed with you because I think we still need the
Yeah,
halftime person.
you
Yes.
suggested a full-time and a
And
half-time.
halftime.
Yes. And I suggested that we try a full-time first. And if it's necessary, perhaps come back to that. But, so, the amount of monies, if you take that halftime, plus one of our present persons cannot work 12 months out of the year. If you recall, the last 2 months or so, the police department had to furnish a gentleman to help enforce our code. Okay? Now, in terms of the motion and in terms of the budget and in terms of money, if I recall, my motion was to make it effective July 1, which would allow time for the budget to be adjusted. It would allow time for the job description to be written and allow time to do interviews and hiring for July 1. So in urgency, it's not urgent, it's prudent, I think. And it's, what would you say? I won't say necessary, but it's been recommended by our attorney. It is a follow through on what our citizens suggested. And we all have advocated and supported that a better job be done with enforcement. And that's no reflection on the two gentlemen that are in those positions now. But yes, the media is correct. She suggested 1.5. And I suggested, let's try a full-time. And then if we saw the halftime was necessary, let's do it then.
Right.
But looking ahead, visionary, I think it's appropriate to go ahead and take action, which again, the budget will be built for July for next year. So it's not as if it's coming out of this year's budget monies. It would be in the new budget, assuming this was approved.
Right, I agree. But my only question would be, do you need our approval to do that? Like, do we have to put it up? Like, what I'm saying is, why are we approving a position that you can just post? I guess what I'm saying.
Well, I would have to still ask for a budget revision or for monies to be in the budget.
Right. But it's,
Right, so
but
it
is it-
would
do we
be
need to-
through that, I mean, I would explain it was to hire a full-time officer,
so,
full-time code enforcement officer.
If the gentleman would yield.
yeah, go ahead.
The only question I would have is, it's a new position. And this may be right or wrong. Maybe Mr. Fowle can take a position on it. It presently isn't in the ordinances and or statute. So we're creating a new position, just like we may be doing later on with an assistant chief. So, and I think it's appropriate that we as council support our city manager. And again, I think it's timely. I think it's visionary. And I think it's foresight. It shows foresight on the part of the council for the reasons I've stated. So I would ask that you vote no to the lady's motion.
Mr. Franklin, do you have an opinion about it? Do they, he does? Okay.
No, sir.
We can
I
just-
think, I think it would be time for the vote on the motion to table, and that if that's defeated, then you would vote on the main motion, that if it's passed, then you can put off polls for March.
So if we table it, we put it off for a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll vote the motion to table. All those in
Roll
favor,
call,
all those in favor say aye.
roll call.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
I vote for the table. Yes.
David Perry,
No,
Krista Hodges,
Yes.
Charles Smallwood Jr.
No.
And Benitez Jackson.
Yes.
3-2, sir. In favor and tabling.
All right, the motion is tabled. We'll move along to item number 3. Consideration to adopt a resolution for the city to demolish the structure located at 137 Broadway Avenue, map 7, parcel 116 and 117, owned by Dwayne Hopkins, IHL Holdings LLC.
This is
Mayor.
a,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, this is a picture of what it looks like today.
Yeah. I move that consideration be given to adopt a resolution for the city to demolish the structure located at 137 Broadway Avenue, map 7, parcel 116 and 117, owned by Dwayne Hopkins, IHL Holdings LLC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have a question. And I know we changed our council meeting this month, and when the letters go out, the people that were on the agenda for this evening, did they know our meeting was tonight?
He has not, we cannot contact him. He has not received service of any of our things. I did ask Counselor Jackson to contact him
I tried.
and he, so,
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
and the services were unexecuted.
Okay.
So,
No further discussion. We'll vote the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 4. Consideration to adopt a resolution to lay an assessment lien on property located at 103 Hayes Street, map 25, parcel 78, owned by Tammy Lynn Gibson and Charles Brack.
I make a motion that we adopt a resolution to lay an assessment lien on property located at 103 Hayes Street, map 25, parcel 78, owned by Tammy Lynn Gibson and Charles Brack.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We'll vote the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. That brings us to new business. Item number 5, depot lease agreement. Madam Manager.
we have, and a proposed lease agreement with the White Oak Mercantile. And I can't remember the rest of it, of their name. White Oak Mercantile and Artisan Gallery. This is not Tammy. Tracy Webb. I keep wanting to call her Tammy. Tracy Webb this is some of the things that she wants to do in the depot. She will have some different crafters, artisans to set up. She wants to have some music, maybe in the summer, people playing music. Some people selling their vegetables, some greenhouse things. I think it's really going to be good. She's excited about doing it. She has a lot of people that are interested, and I've told them, I've told her that they will have to get their license and pay B&O and do that kind of stuff, and she didn't have any problem with that. The lease is for $100 a month. And then, and they will pay the utilities that are associated with use of the building.
Is it just a month-to-month lease?
This is for a year
A
with
year.
a 30-day notice. I thought this first year, at least until they could see how it's going to go, that $100 was reasonable. And she notified me today that everything looked okay and that she was ready to sign the lease when it was approved by council.
Mayor, I move we approve the proposal as negotiated by the city manager, $100 plus utilities per month for 1 year with a 30-day out clause.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We'll vote the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Moves us to item number 6, general budget revision.
This is our mid-year budget revision. It's for $799,000. Most of that is in capital lease revenues, and that was from the loan that we got to finance the equipment for the street department and the police department. And then the other part was B&O taxes I've increased there. It's up from what I budgeted. So that's most of the revenues. And then the expenses are, I have just adjusted, and Valerie and I went through this together so that she would know how to do a budget revision. And most of that, or I just adjusted to actual from what our trends had been. Some of it you'll see is salaries, and that was just in the changes with Bill retiring. And so I made some adjustments there. My salary still does not show in the city manager's salary. That none of that has been adjusted yet. It's still in the departments we work, because you have to go into payroll and adjust that. I didn't do it until we knew for sure, because at first we had that 6-month provision. So it'll be like this for the rest of the year. And then when I do the new budget, everything will show up in the right place. So did you have any questions? I have put $100,000 in contingencies.
Contingencies means rainy day.
No, it's
Escrow.
money that's in the budget, but can
Not-
be used if you can use it, but you have to do a budget revision
It's
to be
not
able to
committed.
use it. Right,
Dedicate.
right.
I have 3 questions, Mayor. Year to
Go ahead.
date, what is our income?
This is as of January 31st. It's $3,384,932.
What are our expenditures year to date?
$3,523,487.
So we're still to the good.
Yes,
In terms of the rainy day fund, we have not touched any of the rainy day fund,
we
correct?
have not touched any of the rainy day.
Have we added any monies to it?
No, we have not.
Now, this would include,
We lost money as part of our investments, but hopefully that will come back
and is that
whenever
with
the
the
market
state?
comes back.
Is that with the state investment?
No,
Board?
it is with Truist right now.
Okay. So does that year to date also include the 1%?
It does not. The
So
1% is part of our general fund. It's not part of our general fund, and this is just a general fund revision. But so we have received 300 and whatever, can't remember.
So actually, year to
But we
date
have-
income is greater than what we heard.
Right.
So we're really not putting
Right.
ourselves in a detriment.
No,
at this
no,
point.
we are not.
Thank you.
I have a question, Demita. Does this happen to reflect what will happen with our budget when Plateau changes to CAMC?
No, it does not.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not, I think that, and it maybe should have didn't that change over? Is it for March 31st or is it, does anyone know?
I'm not.
Is it
exactly
Cam, you're
sure.
on the board. Is it? Okay,
Okay, I just wanted that.
So I understand it's projected to be $500,000 loss.
close to that, yes. it
And the
will change.
projection on the 1% is nearing close to 1 million,
Right,
which that would offset this loss, but lessen the amount of monies that we would have to obligate.
right.
So we have a motion to accept the budget revision.
I'll second.
Or we have a motion?
Sorry.
We have a motion.
Well, go ahead.
We need a
No.
motion.
Mm-mm.
We do need a motion, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the general budget revision.
I'll
Second.
We have a motion and and a couple seconds.
Sorry.
We'll vote the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, polling place change.
I will turn this over to our city clerk.
I contacted Amy McDonald with the New River Intermediate School and also confirmed with Tim Payton with the Board of Education, and they have approved for us to use the New River Intermediate School at 262 West Fuller Avenue for our polling place for Ward 1 and Ward 2.
They have 2 rooms there where you can vote, so it'll help. It'll help for us to have it in the same area. And someone, I did talk to someone about that, that location, and they said it worked well when they did that for the last election, the last county
That's
election.
where I voted.
Mayor, I move we accept the recommendation of the clerk that we approve the polling place for Ward 1 and Ward 2 to be, I don't know, what is it, New River Elementary, what is it now? You got
New
intermediate
River
schools,
Intermediate.
intermediate.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple questions, please. Because I've had some customers ask me that are new to the area, like, where do you register to vote? Where is the voting? So how can we publicize that so everybody knows where to go for Ward 1 and 2?
I mean, we can put it on our website and on social media where everything, and we will be doing some more of that stuff, telling people where they can vote and how to register.
Is there a
Restaurant
deadline?
There,
online.
you can register
Yes,
online,
there is
yes.
a deadline.
A
for-
deadline
for
to
the vote.
register?
Yes, and the deadline for voting, my state to register to vote in the election is May 23rd, 2023.
Okay.
And I gave everyone a calendar.
Thank you, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
A lot of people look at that glass board outside that we have in front of City Hall currently. Can we post something there?
Yeah, I'll be glad to post that. And we already have it on the website and we can get it on,
Where will people go for early voting on Saturdays?
Are we
That's-
gonna schedule them here? for early
That's
voting?
here, early voting's here.
Any
And that-
further discussion? Sorry,
I was just gonna tell when early voting started.
okay.
Let's check, because I can't remember. May 31st through June 10th. And it'll be 8 to 4,
On Saturdays here.
but no,
Oh.
it's all those
8
days.
to
May
4.
31st through June 10th,
Okay.
8 to 4. Except on Saturday, and I think it's 9 to 5 on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, 9 to 5.
Okay.
And
Thank
Steve,
you.
there's also gonna be a small fee for us using the building for them to clean up after the election
At the school?
at the school.
You know how
That's
much
what
that
it would
is.
No, they just said it would be, it'd be a small.
be for a custodian, right?
Mhm.
Which would be time and a half or double time.
Mm.
Depends on the number of years of service, so forth, but.
Have any further discussion? We'll vote to motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moves us to number 9, consideration to increase vacation time for employees with over 30 years of service.
Did we skip
Eight.
8?
8,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go to number 8, request to appoint ballot commissioners and early voting poll workers.
I'll turn this also back to the city clerk.
We've appointed Rita Buda and June Blake as the ballot commissioners.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
second,
Any discussion? We'll vote to motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move on to number 9. Consideration to increase vacation time for employees with over 30 years experience of service.
Right now, our vacation schedule stops at 20 years, and it's 4 weeks if you've been here 20 years. I'd like to ask to add another layer to that of 30 years and 5 weeks vacation.
so move.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have some questions. How many employees do we have with 30 years of service as of right now?
Two,
So how many, like, do we have any employees that are on 29 and they will be coming up on 30?
I think that we have 4 that's 30. Thelma's coming up, or is she already there?
We're not doing 40.
Okay. And so Thelma and Sherry, I believe, are coming up.
So if you had to throw a number, what is the financial impact to our budget?
Well, I mean, we're still paying them. It's just most of those positions we're not replacing. Right now, they're not somebody that we have to pay extra to replace, so
Right.
it's a week of,
So it's not like
Loss.
$100,000.
no,
Okay.
no.
That's
It's a
what I wanted
wash,
to ask.
correct?
Yeah.
With what you
it's-
said, they need to be here or on vacation, so you're not paying double,
Same amount of
Right.
money.
same amount of money.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Roll call,
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Diana Janey,
Yes. For
David.
the extra week.
David Perry,
yes,
Krista Hodges.
Yes.
Charles Smallwood Jr. Benitez Jackson.
Yes.
Unanimous, sir.
And I don't have a vote, but yes.
you're right, you don't.
That moves us along to item number 10. Consideration to adopt an ordinance to add deputy chief position to the Oak Hill Police Department. Civil Service Commission request to add 1 sergeant position and 1 lieutenant. And pay increase in rank pay schedule.
I move that we accept the recommendation as presented from the chief and the city manager. And it's my understanding that we are not adding any position. We are just providing for what we've talked about for a number of years, longevity and service, and it will allow upward mobility for promotions among the rank from a private up lieutenant and so forth. And that the deputy chief position will come from an existing officer, lieutenant rank, with 10 years experience or more. And that in essence, it's just a $10,000 increase the way I look at it. Is that safe to say, Demita?
Yes.
That's all we're adding is $10,000. Actually, if you take not replacing the officer, it's probably less than in one sense, if I'm thinking correctly, and I'm not too good on math. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can confuse the issue real fast. But anyway, I make the motion.
Is that you're making the motion to,
Approve A, B, and the
and
ordinance.
the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
All-
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have some questions. I know you're surprised. Chief Wiseman, will this deputy chief position, will it still be an officer that's out on the streets, or will it be an officer that is mainly at the police station?
He'll still have street duties.
Oh,
yes.
okay, okay.
Yes, and all of them.
So
do
we're
right
not
now.
losing an officer off of the roads?
No, no.
Okay.
All the ranked cleanup to lieutenants still have street duties, answer calls, do reports. They just have added duties, some administrative type things.
Okay, okay. And financially, Demita, we can handle doing this.
Yes,
Okay,
the total cost will be about $47,000.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, chief.
Lemay, could you explain that? Because the position already, the lieutenant position already exists and we're paying for that.
But that was the other things to add the position.
Oh, okay, I got you. I got you.
And the rank pay,
structure. I got
yes,
you. Okay,
yes.
thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
So are we adding positions or not? So we're gonna add a sergeant position and a lieutenant position?
Yes, and adopt the ordinance, which allows for someone to be appointed as the deputy chief.
Right,
Those-
okay.
Those,
But we would have to, okay, I guess what I'm confused about is, are we
But-
hiring more?
we're not
officers?
hiring
Okay,
anybody.
okay,
Just promoting people.
okay,
from
all
within.
right. So that's the 47,000 is the raise.
Same number of people.
Okay.
Does that cover everything you need?
Yes.
We got a motion and a second.
And this is effective immediately, correct?
The ordinance would be the first reading. You'd have to have the second on
Right.
it.
But once the
everything
ordinance,
else would
once
be
the ordinance passes.
immediate, but those things can't transpire
Prior
until
to,
someone moves on up the chain.
And who appoints the chief, the deputy chief? You
I do.
just, you. Well, I knew you would, but yeah, okay.
No further discussion. We'll vote to.
roll call.
Clerk, will you call the roll?
Diana Janey,
Yes, on all positions.
David Perry,
Yes on the motions. Motion.
Krista Hodges,
I just have a yes.
Charles Smallwood Jr., Benitez Jackson.
Yes.
It's unanimous, 5-0.
Motion carries. That moves us along to item number 11. Consideration of acceptance of property at Appalachian Drive for Welcome to Oak Hill sign.
Mayor, I move that we table this motion indefinitely. And it's appropriate time, I'd like to speak to it.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. I would first of all commend Mr. Kirk for the items that he pointed out. And initially I was for this, but after he directed and pointed out the ramifications for this change, it would have been totally wrong on my part. And so I just leave it at that. So that's why I'm for the motion. In other words, it would have opened a floodgate, as Mr. Kirk said, for the rest of the mall area to request to come into the city. And with the prospects of DEP and the wet water lands and all that, of course, that was part of the motion. It would just been bad business, bad on the part of this, to do that. So, Mr. Kirk, thank you for your input and for your knowledge of what would be good and what would be bad decision.
Hopefully, we can still find another piece of property for a Welcome to Oak Hill sign.
And if you read your minutes, that is being discussed and Department of Highways was, or the report from the clerk has been discussed.
I did read them, yeah.
It's in there.
Okay, any further discussion? We'll vote the motion. All those in favor of tabling,
Yeah.
say aye.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Which moves us to department reports. I think we've all got our department reports in our packets. Anybody have any questions for our department heads?
I think it was in the packet,
What's that?
all the reports.
Mayor, I would move that we go into executive session to discuss a matter of impending litigation in accordance with the code relevant to executive session, which I'm looking forward to reading. But anyway, I move we go into executive session
I'll second it.
with the chief president and our council and the city manager.
We have a motion to go into executive session in a second. We'll vote the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Go into executive session.
All right, well, let's go.
Yes.
I like this timing.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Call this meeting back to order into regular session after coming out of executive session with no actions taken.
I make a motion that we come back in the regular session.
We have a second.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, where are we at? Fire report.
Department reports.
Fire report. You have anything from the fire chief?
Mayor, I have a question. Sorry about that, chief. Just a brief update on the building structures, construction. Where we are. I know you're on top of it.
We have met with the engineering firm 3 times. We've had communications with the city manager. She's been sitting on our meetings. And he's preparing the bid document for our review and final approval before we move ahead. Correct.
Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I would move that we go back into executive session as a result of pending action or proposed pending action with the county commission, which, if I recall, at the last meeting, Mr. Fowle was working on and would had information tonight, I would hope, where we are on that. So I'd move we go into executive session, which could include possible legal action.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Go back into executive session. All those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to return to regular
I'll make
session.
that motion.
I'll
Second.
A motion and a second.
Krista got it.
Any discussion? Vote to motion. All those in favor to return to a regular session? Aye.
But now it's
Opposed?
declare there were no votes taken and no decisions made.
There were no votes
Sure that's
taken,
good.
no decisions made. Now, where are we?
City manager report.
Do you have any questions?
I have two. On the remedies for Euler Avenue, is there a date certain for the suggestions from Thrasher?
No. But I will make them commit to
Bless you,
something.
bless you. And the only
I
other
did
thing,
talk about that commitment, but
Huh.
I haven't gotten one.
that's all, that's the only question I had.
Okay.
I'd like to see a date certain. Press them. It'll be next year if you don't. And thank you for the time chart they provided us tonight. And there's about a week difference as compared to what they gave us the last time.
Last time.
They moved ahead or behind. I don't know which way you look at it. They extended it further.
Anything else? You want to
I
do?
want to do the MS4.
Okay.
If I can just say a little bit about MS4 and our storm drains. Just things that you shouldn't put in a storm drain. Never throw litter, debris, or soapy or dirty water directly into the storm drain. Don't throw cigarette butts into the streets. All of this increases pollution and clogs gutters, causing street flooding, etc. Let's all do our part of keeping our waterways clean. If you see any illicit discharges into our storm drains, please notify us here at City Hall. Put that in the minutes, please.
Do we have any litter signs in the city? Like you're gonna be charged $500,
We do have
$1,000 or
some
something?
around litter. Yeah.
Because there just seems to be an increase of litter. So if we put some dollars behind it, tag 'em.
I know we were talking about one of those community-wide. We had a phone call from Ace Whitewater. Ace Whitewater needs to step up, the part of the community, maybe get people to come and help with
Up here.
up and down in Minden.
Mhm.
So, part of our community now, so they've got plenty of employees they can send out to help with it. So I think we need to get them involved too.
All right, we ready for council comments?
What about the items to
Items
discuss?
to discuss.
I was gonna move that till later. We want to discuss them right now. Let's go.
Unanimous consent that you be approved and moving to the last.
All right, council, Ward 1, any comments?
I'm still about the election, just how can we put an ad in the paper or anything about city elections and when they are and the early voting?
We had an article in there already.
Okay,
But yeah, we can keep it out in the forefront.
because there's been
So-
several people new to the community and that's questions that they wouldn't have a clue where to go.
I get lots of questions too about it.
And they can call here too.
Okay.
They can call here and ask us. Rhonda has all the answers.
But we can put something outside in that glass.
We can put it in that
box.
glass. Mhm.
The early voting, where it's at and all that. Okay, thank you.
Krista? any
I'm
comment?
good, thank you.
Mr. Perry?
Economic Development Coordinator, I see we have a job description.
I put a revised job description there for you all. I have not advertised it yet. I want to get, if you all had any feedback
Do
from
we-
that.
How long do we have to review this, Demita, before we need to get back to you?
Well, I don't know, next meeting or so. I'd
Okay.
say,
Oh, we're gonna wait that long?
To advertise.
To review it. Chris, to review it and give you any
Oh,
input.
yeah, I mean,
We're not in a hurry.
I'm not in a hurry. Are
Think
you all
about
in, are
development.
you all in a hurry?
No,
I'm always for progress and moving things along rather than dragging your feet 20-some years.
It won't be that long. I
So
ju-
there's no timeline on it at this point, tentative or otherwise.
Well, I'll probably will advertise that at the same time if we do the zoning, the code enforcement.
Okay. On the bank,
Uh-huh.
has Chapman provided, like Thresher, any timeline as to, or could that be made available?
They have not provided a timeline. We're having a meeting with them on Thursday again.
At
To
what time?
10, is it, did I tell y'all 10 to review or to see their latest
Proposal.
proposal. Mhm.
So could you ask them to give a tentative timeline like Thrasher provided?
Yes.
And the only other question, in the proposal, if you recall, we voted upon it that we would put a marquee there. Remember that?
The sign,
Yeah.
you mean the sign?
Yeah, the
Yes.
marquee.
Yes, and I had all that
flashing marquee.
information and I stopped looking at it because I thought that someone said they didn't like the idea of the tree anymore, where the
Right.
tree was and
Right.
wanted it out on the sidewalk. So I have not
If
gotten.
I remember, that kind of was the suggested area for the marquee
Yes.
that we finally agreed, didn't
Right,
really
but-
necessarily agreed on. I don't want to mistake.
And I
it.
haven't gone any farther with that as getting, because it's gonna be about $30,000, I think.
We just bought one at the church for 18.
Yeah, but yours is a lot shorter.
Yeah. Well, my question was, if the money, can it be paid for out of the monies if monies are available? Am I
Yes,
making-
it
yeah,
can.
I mean, maybe ask them to include that as they do their cost estimates and so forth, which would take care of that.
Right. Yes, I'm sure it can.
Okay, that's all I had.
Ward 2. That moves us to items for discussion. Moving the municipal elections to the county.
I talked to Mr. Fowle about this today. He had gotten in touch with the attorney at the Secretary of State's office. And they said that it would be okay for us to wait, assuming that we have an objection at our hearing, that we could put that on the ballot and still institute our 3-year term for this council that's running, and then start the election in 3 years. If it passes, if it passes from the public,
This incoming council. Period of 3 years.
right? But we won't know that until
The election,
after the election.
assuming it's going, and I assume it will be.
Yes.
Everything else is.
Is that, did I
And this
state that
Mr.
correctly?
Person is the name of the gentleman I spoke with. He's the attorney for the election division
Right.
in the Secretary of State's office.
Right.
Very knowledgeable.
Right.
And he and I had a very good discussion, and he could not come up with any reasons, whether it's constitution, any other reason why we could not do it this way.
Right.
And I do not have any reasons why it cannot be done this way. So, this is your all's decision to go forward, with a 3-year term. If it passes, it should work
On the ballot.
on the ballot.
I think we've
Now,
already.
I
done
mean,
it.
if we have no objections at our hearing, then we would just go ahead with it anyway. But I've heard people that are going to object, so I'm planning for the objection.
So will
I think
there-
You need to anticipate,
Yes.
so that normally is what happens.
So will there be a form for them to fill out? To,
To object.
so, yeah, I mean, so.
We're gonna
there's-
have paper ready
So that
and
there's no question.
yes.
about it.
What date is that hearing, Demita?
That hearing
March
is
6th.
on March 6th at 5:30. And it's been advertised once already. And then it'll be advertised again.
So that is the meeting for all the proposals.
For
will
the
be- will-
charter.
For a public hearing, will, be nothing for the ordinances.
No, nothing for the ordinances, just the charter. The charter, the ordinances don't have to have a public hearing.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And then our budget hearing will be on February 20th at 5 o'clock.
Is there
Is-
any objection to moving that till 5:30? Because I work till 5 in Beckley.
Do you all have an objection to change it to 5:30?
5:30 is fine.
Thank you.
That's
Is
all
that
I
a
have.
hearing or a work session? I thought it was a work session.
Well, we hear the request. That's why we call it a budget
okay.
hearing.
So it is a work
We,
session.
yes, we just hear the requests of the
Okay,
departments.
gotcha. Just wanted to be sure.
Is it a public hearing?
No,
Yes,
public meeting, but it's not
it's
a
a
hearing.
public meeting,
public
but
meeting.
it's, yeah, it's not for we do not have to hear the public.
Right, but they can attend if they.
They
wish.
can attend,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
That moves us to mayoral comments.
That's you.
That's me. Thank you. One thing I'd like to thank, Fire Chief Richardson for inviting me to their training session that they had a couple Saturdays ago. It was very informative. Those guys spend, a lot of time practicing, preparing, and it shows when they go out on their calls. I do appreciate that. Appreciate that, and the great job that you guys do. And Day mentioned cleanups coming up. I'd like to see us all take some initiative. And if it's a pretty day on a weekend and you got some spare time, go out and pick up a bag full of trash. There is plenty out there. I drove up around the hill where we had problems at Mendon last weekend and counted 20 tires that you can see thrown over the hill, and a refrigerator and a couple of televisions. But if everybody just took an hour, picked up a bag here and there, it'd be a great jump start on Earth Day.
Earth Month, Steve.
It'd be
actually.
great. I mean, it'd be great. You don't have to, I mean,
Right, I know. what
if
you're
you're off on Saturday and want to spend an hour and get out and it's pretty, get some exercise in and pick up a bag of trash.
Well, since you brought up Earth Day, I've been working with West Virginia State University and the DEP to get more support this month for April to have multiple litter sweeps and help with the bigger stuff.
Do we have bags and gloves and stuff
Mhm.
here?
We are
Or
also
holiday.
planning a needle site cleanup. Tyler's gonna bring that up here. The first one's on February 26th.
Will you be posting that on Facebook so you can share it?
I think it's already been posted.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the days, the February 26th, to March 19th, and March 26th.
Awesome. Okay.
So you can put on your hiking shoes and help, help clean up Needleside.
There's a lot of seniors that need volunteer hours.
Oh, well. That would be good.
Great. Reach out to the schools,
Mhm.
Boy Scouts, everybody. Okay, it brings us to future agenda items. Anybody have anything?
March meeting.
Yes, we have, don't forget, a budget hearing February 20th. And the meeting for March the 6th. When is the next regular meeting of council?
March 13th.
March the 13th.
So your Mondays are
5:30.
tied up for a while.
All righty, with no further business before the council tonight, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Say la vie.
The ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.
That's it.
You waited all meeting for that.
Get stuck.